Hey everybody, it's the 4K Lowdown, and oh, yeah, I'm an old man. So, yesterday was Father's Day, and I hope everybody had a great Father's Day weekend. If you're not a father yourself, then you have a father. I hope you had a chance to celebrate with your father, or I hope your kids had a chance to celebrate with you. Um, I myself had my kids and my grandkids with me, and I got to visit my father. So, it was a good day for me. But I thought about um, doing a list of my favorite go-to movies for Father's Day. Like if I was going to be watching movies on Father's Day, what would I pick? And I usually go in pairs. I usually watch pairs of movies. But what I did was I grabbed just like my 15 go-to Father's Day movies. And there's probably 5 times as many that I watch, but when I was like, what would I watch right now? And I picked the movies, I turned around and I scored them, and I scored them based on their own unique thing. So I wasn't looking for the specific genre. I was looking for specifically what do I want in a movie for Father's Day. So I had the basic five for the lowdown: cast, acting, plot, ending, story. That's the same all across the board. And then I picked five more that I want for Father's Day. So this changes the score completely. It's not based on genre anymore. It's based on what I wanted to watch on that day. And that means that those categories changes, those aspects. And that was action, humor, pace, chemistry, and what I call the X factor, or something that really, like, that's why I want to watch it. So, with that, it kind of caters a little bit to action and comedy. That's kind of what I want. I want to laugh. I want to see something blow up. So that made these scores really interesting because something that would normally not get that high of a score actually got a really high score. And then those that normally get a higher score for their genre actually got a lower score for their um, Father's Dayness, if you want to call it. So, anyway, let's get right down to it. So, to start off, and I'm just going to throw up the posters on, in the screen somewhere in there. So, to start off, I have two. So what I do is I call the baker's dozen. Baker's dozen is 13. Uh, and with that, so picked 15 movies, scored them. So then I have top 13 and two honorable mentions. So let's start with the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention, which got the lowest score of the group, is a movie called Only the Strong, and I'm going to put it right there. Only the Strong stars Mark Dacascos, and basically it's the first movie that I remember seeing that really kind of accented the martial art called capoeira, which is a Brazilian kind of dance martial art thing. Those of you that like martial arts movies or like martial arts in general have probably heard of this. Mark Dacascos plays a soldier who gets discharged, goes back to his hometown. He learns capoeira in Brazil, goes back to his hometown, finds out that his school is overrun with gangbangers and drugs and stuff like that. So he decides to create this program where he takes the worst of the worst kids in the school and teaches them capoeira, which is supposed to make them all, you know, become a family in unison and stuff like that. And in the midst of this, he gets in trouble with the local crime boss. And if I remember right, the crime boss's name is Silverio, um, to which his cousin is one of the students that Mark Dacascos teaches. Um, so, you know, this kind of goes through, comes to a head, big battle. So it's standard. I don't want to call it a one-man army movie, so it's really a martial arts movie because there's a little bit of gunfighting and stuff, but the main lead, he mainly uses his capoeira skills to beat everybody, and some of his soldiering, but it's mainly a martial arts movie. So anyway, as an honorable mention, it did get the lowest score, and I expected that, but it actually got a pretty good score for Father's Day, and it gets a 75. So, but I wanted to show that because that's like one of the movies that I will always watch. I only have it on DVD. If they ever come out with another format, I'll get it for sure. But DVD is the way I'll do it. So anyway, only the strong 75. Honorable mention number 2 gets a 79, and that is Balls of Fury. I will put that right there. Balls of Fury stars Dan Fogler, Aisha Tyler, Christopher Walken, George Lopez, a couple other dudes I recognize. Basically, it's like a ping pong game movie, so I guess you'd call it a sport movie. Um, but the whole thing is about this kid who went to the Olympics and did something stupid, and people laughed at him, and because of that, he just became like this gimmick ping pong dude and ends up getting entered into this tournament, kind of like Enter the Dragon, only with ping pong matches. Oh, Terry Crews is in there. I remember seeing him in it. But anyway, really funny movie. Oh, I gotta call out Maggie Q, who's in the movie, and James Hong. But it's it's just this goofy ping pong movie with a lot of dry humor, and it's just the perfect Father's Day movie to where you just want to sit there, laugh, drink beer, and enjoy. So, honorable mention number 2, and I'm gonna do it that way, is Balls of Fury with a 79. Okay, coming in at number 13, also with a 79, because those two tied, so I had to go, all right, which one would I pick to watch more often than not? So coming in at number 13, just barely making the baker's dozen, is the movie Drop Zone. I'll put that there. Drop Zone stars Wesley Snipes, Gary Busey, Yancey Butler. I like this movie because Yancey Butler's all tough as nails and stuff, but then in the movie Hard Target with Van Damme, which almost made the cut, she's all, oh, phooey, I burned the darn muffins. And that just cracks me up. But anyway, heist movie of sorts, one-man army movie where Wesley Snipes kind of takes on this group who's trying to steal a list of undercover federal agents that are infiltrating cartels and stuff like that to try to sell them to the highest bidder. Wesley Snipes' brother gets killed on a plane as they were trying to transport a fugitive who apparently dies. But all in all, there's a lot of good fighting. There's a lot of skydiving, which is hugely fun. There's some really cool characters in the movie. It's pretty funny. So, solid 79. Drop Zone just barely makes the baker's dozen at number 13. At number 12, on that side, is Showdown in Little Tokyo with an 81. Showdown in Little Tokyo stars Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee, may he rest. And it's just a crazy action comedy, martial arts, yakuza doodah with basically every Asian stuntman actor from the 80s is in the movie. And then you got Dolph Lundgren, you got Brandon Lee, you got Tia Carrere, you got Cary Tagawa, who's the main bad guy. Um, and it's just, yeah, it's just your basic cop movie where cops are taking on the Yakuza and this pair of cops that are kind of funny, don't get along very well. They end up fighting together, beating up the bad guys, and it's it's cool. I enjoy it a lot. I usually tag team this with another movie that will be named later, but Showdown in Little Tokyo 81 comes in at number 12. So we are at number 11, and we'll be on that side. Number 11 with an 82 is the movie Under Siege with Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal, Tommy Lee Jones, another Gary Busey one, where, and Erica Eleniak, who has the most paused action movie moment, I think, ever. It's basically this huge battle, and this is definitely a one-man army movie, takes place on the USS Missouri as it's, being mothballed or they're retiring it or whatever it was. But Steven Seagal is former Navy SEAL with all these awards and doodads and yada yada. But he gets demoted to being a cook. And when all hell breaks loose on the USS Missouri, of course, the cook's not accounted for, and he goes around and starts killing everybody one by one. This, in my opinion, aside from Above the Law, which was Steven Seagal's first movie, this is probably my favorite Steven Seagal movie. I think this was the height of his stardom before he started drifting downhill. Under Siege 2 was good, but not as good as the first one. So number 11, Under Siege, gets an 82. So now we're on this side. And at number 10 is the movie Equilibrium. This is the first sci-fi movie to make the countdown. And Equilibrium stars Christian Bale, Taye Diggs, Angus McFadden, and basically what it is it's set in the future where emotions are suppressed because they cause issues. If you can feel emotion, you can act irrationally and cause crimes and do stuff. So as a result, everybody takes this drug that basically suppresses their emotions. So Christian Bale is what is called a tetragrammaton cleric. This is basically the elite police force of this future. And his job is to find people who are violating what they call sense offense, to where they've stopped taking their dose and they're feeling emotions. They are hoarding works of art or music or whatever, and they burn that stuff and take the guy prisoner or kill him until Christian Bale himself stops taking the dose. Was it by accident or on purpose? I won't say, but it leads into this huge thing where there's a resistance that's fighting the clerics. Christian Bale gets involved, and it's got to be one of the best action-packed endings I have ever seen in any movie. So, Equilibrium, also in 82, but I liked it just a little bit better than Under Siege, comes in at number 10. At number 9 is, my opinion, Jean-Claude Van Damme's best movie, because Hard Target almost made the list, but this one got a better score. At number 9 is Bloodsport, and I'll put that there. Bloodsport gets an 83 and is based on a true story about Frank Dukes and what is called the Kumite. Kumite is a martial arts tournament where people from all over the world meet underground and they fight for this special hoo-ha katana sword. Is it Hattori Hanzo? I don't know. But there's all sorts of crazy dudes that are in this tournament from all walks of life, all different types of martial arts. But it basically boils down to Van Damme, who is Frank Dukes, and Bolo Young. You might remember him from Enter the Dragon, who is Chung Li. And, that's the final battle, right? But there's all sorts of characters in between. Some great fights, some really quick fights, some really funny things. So it's got great humor, it's got great action, it's got great chemistry between the characters, surprisingly enough, that I didn't expect. So Bloodsport comes in at number 9 with an 83. Now we're talking number 8, and I'm going to let's go that way. Number 8 with an 84 is the next comedy on the list, and that's Dodgeball. Dodgeball, I feel, is the movie that burned my brain cells. Not that I did any drugs or anything, but if I did, this would have burned more brain cells. I felt that the more times I watched this movie, the more times I liked it, and the stupider I got. So, this is it's Vince Vaughn, Justin Long, Rip Torn. Man, so many. Ben Stiller, Ben Stiller's wife. So many people, so many great comedic actors in this movie. And it's basically about two gyms. Globo Gym, who's basically like in shape, and then you got Average Joe's Gym, which is like our local Smith's Gym here in town, where it's just a local mom and pop shop. And the big guy is jealous of the little guy because the little guy's really happy. So Average Joe's Gym tries to enter a dodgeball tournament because the grand prize is $50,000, and that's what they need to keep the business running. Globo Gym gets wind of this, and Ben Stiller, who's the head of Globo Gym, decides that he wants to enter the tournament as well so that he can take the 50 grand from them. So he gets his group of ringers, and there's this huge dodgeball tournament. So think of it like dodgeball as a martial arts tournament, like Bloodsport. Only you get, because you get the Germans and you get the Japanese and you get the college guys and it's really funny, and it's just a stupid theme with dodgeball being this important thing. And then you got Chuck Norris and William Shatner thrown in here. Jason Bateman. It's like I said, it's got these great comedic actors and these actors that are just coming out of nowhere that are a part of this movie with these little cameos. Lance Armstrong's in it, but super funny. Like I said, every time I watch it, I feel like I get dumber and dumber. But Dodgeball comes in at number 8 with an 84. So now we're at number seven. Number seven, this is one of the movies that probably wasn't that good, but registers high on the list because I always pair it with another movie. And again, that movie is further up in the countdown, so we'll talk about that later. But coming in at number seven with an 86 is The Losers, and we'll put that there. The Losers stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans, Zoe Saldana, Jason Patric. It's got this really good cast of actors, and it's like this ensemble action movie. It's based on a DC comic, but it plays as an action movie. So they're not like superheroes or anything like that. They're just like this elite army group. And they go to perform a task, they do a mission, I'm guessing in Central America or South America or something like that, if I remember right. But something's up and they decide to abort the mission, but the person who's running the op decides no and tries to execute it anyway. So the team turns against him, tries to save, because there's kids involved, so they try to save the kids. Something goes wrong, and they basically get made for dead. They go into hiding. When Zoe Saldana comes in and says, hey, you want to get this guy back? I got the means to do it. So they go and take on the main bad guy, who is Jason Patric. I thought it was really cool. I like team action movies, like A-Team, Losers, couple other ones that are on the list. Navy SEALs is one. That would probably be one I should have scored. But I like it when there's like, one guy's specialty is this, and one guy's specialty is this, and one guy's specialty is this. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's the boss. Idris Elba's in it. He's like the right hand. And then Chris Evans, he's the communication expert, and he's a complete dork in the movie. Awesome. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. I have the poster on my wall. The Losers comes in with a surprising 86 and is number 7 on my list. At number 6, and we'll put it there, is another comedy, but also a sci-fi movie. Number 6 with an 88 is the movie Galaxy Quest. I just love this movie. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So this movie is kind of a parody off of Star Trek, where, Galaxy Quest is a series that got canceled, so they're just doing conventions and stuff. Justin Long is in it. Another one with Justin Long. Justin Long's in it, and he's like this ultimate fan. Finds out what kind of horrible people there are. I mean, Alan Rickman is in it, Sigourney Weaver, Sam Rockwell, Tony Shalhoub, Tim Allen is the main star, but definitely not the best actor in the movie. So, but he's funny as the figurehead because he starts out as a shallow person, but then realizes that what's going on is real, because this alien race basically got wind of the show and created their own, like, the real thing, because they don't know how, this is kind of like copying it because they don't know how to live properly, or I don't want to say how to live properly, but they choose to live this way because they think it's the right way, and they think these are historical documents or true documents. So it's I don't know, it's every Trekkie's dream to realize that Star Trek is real and that you can actually go on the ship and you can actually fly into space and fire phasers and do all the stuff. So for this group to actually get that was really appealing to me, and it is funny as hell. So Galaxy Quest, number 6 with an 88. Coming in at number 5, also with an 88, And the only reason why I put this ahead of Galaxy Quest is because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's True Lies. True Lies is, uh, I don't want to call it a spy movie because it's more of an action comedy. Um, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold, Charlton Heston's in it, Elijah Dushku as a 14-year-old, um, and it's it's super funny, great action, lots of spy stuff. The classic one-liners from Arnold. It's just such an awesome movie. So on on any other day, I might pick Galaxy Quest to go first, but for yesterday, because I did this list yesterday on Father's Day, I picked True Lies. So True Lies comes in at number 5 with an 88. So that brings us to the top 4 movies. And what possible movies could I pick as my top 4 movies to watch on Father's Day? Well, I'm going to tell you. And number 4 is The Replacements. Pow! The Replacements stars Keanu Reeves, Gene Hackman. Those are the main guys. Trying to remember the rest of the people. But a bunch of people that I recognize, but I don't remember their names. Jon Favreau is one that's in it. But aside from that, The Replacements is just, I think it was 2000 when it came out, is a brilliant, funny football movie. And basically it is about the National Football League goes on strike. And this happened back in the 80s. So in this movie, the league goes on strike and the teams kind of scramble for players. Teddy McGinty is an old coach. This owner comes in of the Washington Sentinels, which I still think the Redskins should have changed their name to the Sentinels instead of the Commanders, but I'm going to digress on that. So the Washington Sentinels hire Jimmy McGinty as their interim coach. Jimmy McGinty says, "Oh, I've got this unique plan where I followed all these players and I'm going to make my own team." So he gets a sumo wrestler to be on the offensive line, and he gets a former police officer with PTSD to be his middle linebacker. He gets a guy from prison to be his free safety, is what I'm thinking, or cornerback. And then he picks Keanu Reeves, who is Shane Falco, as his quarterback. And Keanu Reeves plays Shane Falco, who was this great player in college, but then in the Sugar Bowl, which was basically like the championship, he totally blew it. Everybody talks about it during this movie. And he gets drafted in the NFL, gets put as starting quarterback right away, and he just falters. So he played like 1 or 2 years or whatever, and then he's gone. Gene Hackman is Jimmy McGinty, gets Keanu Reeves to join the team, and they're trying to get together. Orlando Jones is the wide receiver, and he's super fast, but he can't catch. Everybody's got their quirks, and they have the British guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was in Elementary as Mycroft Holmes, and he did a few other movies that I recall, but God, I can't remember his name off the top. I think it's Bill Nye, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he plays the kicker who has a gambling problem. So all this stuff kind of comes together. Anyway, long story short, too late. The Replacements comes in at number 4 with an 89. Number 3, also with an 89, but I had to pick this one because this is really like one of my main go-to movies. If I just like, you know what, I want a dad movie, I picked this movie, and that is The 13th Warrior. Go that way. 13th Warrior stars Antonio Banderas as an Arab ambassador, basically got in trouble because he's looking at the wrong man's wife, and he gets sent to the north to be an ambassador for the northern region. And he runs into a group of Vikings who, through an oracle, chose him to be one of the warriors to go and help this this king on this land defeat this magical beast. So this is based on the book called The Eaters of the Dead, and I've got to say it's just a brilliant movie, told really well, great action, super funny. It's definitely one of my go-to. Just sit there and enjoy great movies. And as such, again, the ending, great. This is the Viking movie that I measure all Viking movies up against. And although other Viking movies, like, say, The Northman, might be more authentic, 13th Warrior is always going to be my favorite. As such, 13th Warrior, which would normally get a higher score, I think, as a fantasy movie, 13th Warrior comes in at number 3 with an 89. Coming in the top 2. At number 2, I'm not going to beat around the bush with this. This is also one of my favorite action movies. But this is one that I pair with The Losers all the time. I watch The Losers and I watch this movie. I don't know why, aside from the fact that they're both DC movies. I own both movie posters. They're both action-based. Neither of them have like special abilities or anything, but they're really good at what they do. They still seem unstoppable. So coming in at number 2 with a 91 is the movie Red, which stands for Retired, Extremely Dangerous. Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, Helen Mirren, Brian Cox, Julian McMahon. Gosh, I can't remember her name. Leslie? No. Louise. Girl from Weeds. Mary Louise Parker. Found it. I love it. Richard Dreyfuss is in it. This is just Carl Urban, Ernest Borgnine, may he rest. Great action. Super funny. Huge moments. The ending wasn't as great, but it was kind of cool how it ended. It just wasn't big. It wasn't like this huge ending. But still, awesome movie. Number 2 is the movie Red at a 9.1. Or excuse me, 91. I got to get used to stopping the decimal points. Okay, so we're coming into the number 1. Let's recap. Honorable mentions: Only the Strong, Balls of Fury. 13 is Drop Zone. 12 is Showdown in Little Tokyo. 11 is Under Siege. 10 is Equilibrium. 9 is Bloodsport. 8 is Dodgeball. 7 is The Losers. 6 is Galaxy Quest. 5 is True Lies. 4 is The Replacements. 3 is 13th Warrior. 2 is red. Number 1, Big Trouble in Little China. Why? Because it's the Pork Chop Express. This was the first VHS movie I ever bought. This is one that I want in 4K. I have VHS, DVD, Blu-ray Steelbook. It stars Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, and this is another one that has all the 80s martial arts actors. Jimmy Lou, Tiger Lee, Dennis Yip, I can't remember. Of course, James Hwang is Lo Pan. The guy from Golden Child is Egg Shen. And you got some Jim Henson action, I believe. But this was like, when I was a kid, this was my guilty pleasure because people didn't like this movie when I was a teenager. Adults were like, "Oh, that was a stupid movie," and I'm like, "Dude, this is like my favorite movie." And I was like, I didn't understand. Nowadays, everybody's like, when somebody says, "What's your go-to movie?" or "What's your guilty pleasure?" and I say Big Trouble in Little China, everybody loves it. I never hear anybody say anything bad about this movie, and rightfully so. So, as a movie, as a fantasy martial arts movie, it actually gets a lower score than this. But as a Father's Day movie, this is my number 1 pick. Big Trouble in Little China comes in with a 92 out of 100, which is really, really good. But I'm glad I did that. And I'm glad you were here to watch it. I hope you guys stayed for it, or, even if you skip through to catch all the numbers, I really appreciate it. Be sure to shoot me a like. I would really appreciate that. Coming up tomorrow is going to be live stream of the Lowdown, where we are going to do our top 10 Tuesday. Turner Fan 77 and I are going to discuss our top 10 animated movies. I pick 5, he picks 5. We're going to score them live. Ooh, that rhymed. And then we're going to rank them and figure out which animated movie reigns supreme. Coming up on Wednesday, I have a special episode of High Five with my guest, Tim Talks Talkies. We're going to take 5 of his favorite movies and have him score them and rank them. I wonder which one will win there. I wonder what movie. I know what movies he picked, but I'd like to surprise you with his picks because I don't think it'd be what you expect. What else are we going on? Probably an unboxing because I am expecting a delivery this week. And I think we'll probably do a collection update. Next week's going to be big, so stay tuned for that. More on that as it develops. Until then, I am David from the 4K Lowdown. I want to thank you guys all for joining me. Take care. Have a great week.